Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all those looking for it, get ready for the one, the only, with Ryan Hebert. How we doing, everyone? And welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over the best VGC resources that you can access for the brand new Pokemon games, Sword and Shield. Now, these resources have not started to put out content yet when it comes to Sword and Shield, and that is simply because the game isn't out yet. But this is a resource for you to learn about the brand new game that's going to be coming out, and the resource is available to you on the internet. Without further ado, let's begin. What I specifically look for in criteria for these sites are these 6 simple categories. Accessibility and language diversity. Do they use more than English? Ease of use. Can I navigate them okay? Content. Do they actually create content that we want to enjoy and read? Who is their audience? This is an important question because you might be a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced or professional player. Unique features. Is there something about their site that makes them interesting? And how does their source overlap with another? Most sites tend to overlap with another because they all come up with good ideas that they just want to kind of copy. Here are the sites I'm going to be looking at: Victory Road, Nimbasa City Post, Pokedex, VGC Stats, Bogan Forums, The Game House, Facebook VGC Group, Deagle Beagles blog. Honorable mentions, MetaGameVGC.com, and of course, the ever so popular every single Reddit that exists related to competitive Pokemon. Victory Road, our top choice when it comes to content for the 2020 VGC season. Easy to use, not to mention they are bilingual in English and Espanol, otherwise known as Spanish. Tabs and resources make sense, everything is placed well and looks good to the eye. They are missing a bit of in-depth 2019 Ultra Series content, which is a downside for players in the beginning of the 2020 VGC season still playing in Ultra Series, but at the same time they're also lacking descript details when it comes to writing general articles and general content. So overall, they have a good view for their casual scene and their casual players, and they have some relevant information for their competitive players, but they are lacking super descriptive content. Their content overall, articles, general content, and staying up to date on recent tournaments and players is really top notch. Not to mention, they stream regionals. Lastly, there's lots of overlap with Victory Road and pretty much every other VGC resource that exists. But what's very original about Victory Road is that most of the time the content is their own, very much like Nimbasa City Post. Moving on to Nimbasa City Post. This is the site for Nimbasa City Post, very easy to access, easy URL, and for English speakers. It's a fairly easy to use platform. Everything is clean, it's labeled, and the search bar is one of the first things that you see, so if there's something specific that you're looking for, most likely you can find it there. Nimbasa City Post is really great for one thing: posting post-regional content. It lacks up-to-date personal VGC in-depth content, mostly because those writers are on other sites, but at the same time, you just cannot make up for the fact that the owner of Nimbasa City Post, Samuel Temple, alongside some of his fellow friends who run Nimbasa City Post, are always posting the top cut results of any event around the world, especially US events, almost within an hour after the event sometimes. So you have to give them that. Nimbasa City Post is a site that caters to all players of all audiences, and this is very important. Victory Road does the same thing. Offering to casual or competitive audiences allows you to start as a casual player, learn how to play the game, and then allows you to dip into some great competitive content as well. Nimbasa City Post likes to provide players with a central hub for information. And I mean everything. So this video is only a brief description of what is out there when it comes to content, and this is just a highlights list. Nimbasa City Post is your one-stop shop for everything VGC related except me. Nimbasa City Post, where you at? Lastly, Nimbasa City Post contains links and hubs to other VGC resources. Not many other sites do this because they don't want to take users off of their own platform and send them somewhere else. Nimbasa City Post is a selfless platform providing to the community and giving them the best that they can. It's a site that really should be supported by the community more, and I hope to see more from them in the 2020 season. Pokedex, English and Japanese, another bilingual site. There's a slight learning curve to using their Pokedex function, but it is one of the top things about this website overall. They need to update their articles and have a better formatted Pokemon calculator. Be wary of data updates and what's actually popular on this platform, because they seem to do it once a month, and sometimes trends can change within a week or two depending on regional events, special events, and internationals. Intermediate to competitive players can use Pokedex as a resource, but they really need to bridge the gap for newer players on their platform if they're looking to keep people on their site rather than going to other places. The Pokedex top usage Pokemon lists are unique to Pokedex because there aren't any other sites with an actual good-looking and well-formatted list that is easy to use. Not to mention that the site comes with its own team builder with exporting options to sites such as Pokemon Showdown, which we'll come to later. Many sites use similar data provided to Pokedex. It is public data coming from the Battle Spot and from Pokemon Showdown, so Pokedex does a good job of organizing it and presenting it in a way for players to make use of the information. Overall, I expect Pokedex to be popular in VGC 2020. They just need to keep updating their data, and players just need to be aware that sometimes the most popular thing may not always be the most popular thing. VGC Stats attempts to encompass events from all over the world. In 2019 and 2018, they attempted to do so, and they did so quite well, with multiple people working on staff to ensure that the site was updated as much as possible. It really is a feat. It's accessible to all, but it's a little slow on mobile. VGC Stats is easy to use. If you're simply looking for placings, this is your site. If you decide to look at the breakdown and you understand, you're a wizard, Harry. There's a certain calculation that VGC Stats does with the Pokemon on their site, having to do with winning percentage and the amount of CP that Pokemon earns in total. And over the past couple years, VGC Stats has been able to diversify the way that they sort these Pokemon by specific events, from PCs, the smallest tournaments that could be held, all the way up to internets and regionals. As for content on VGC Stats, who doesn't love a good list? One of the best parts about VGC Stats is being able to open this webpage and see the top 10 Pokemon right now with the specific calculations that have been done already for players to see. VGC Stats attempts to put up content site articles, but the frequency of said articles is low. They would need to really step up their content with those articles if they wanted to be taken seriously within the community when it comes to content. As for their player base, they are catering to current players, beginner to advanced. Beginners will sometimes have to try to find said platform in order for them to make use of it, but overall advanced players and current players will use this platform as long as it's updated. If VGC Stats is updated, they have the best list of the most popular Pokemon with their CP totals. What I mean by that is that sometimes the person who runs this platform, if they don't update things immediately or within a week, things can fall behind in the metagame, and it means that you're using outdated information to try to make predictions and to try to build teams for things that may not be a threat anymore a week later. As mentioned before, VGC Stats attempts to create content creation on their platform, and they could have the potential if more candidates were willing to write for the platform. Bogan Forums. Make use of the forum format for information and community. It's one of the best ways to talk with folks and look at information in an organized way. Once you get the hang of Smogon, you really understand how the strategy dex works. If you see next to that Mega Scizor in the background on this page, you'll see a hyperlink that says Strategy Dex. This Strategy Pokedex is a place where you will find lots of different formats for lots of different Pokemon that all exist, including VGC. The big thing about Smogon Forums is that it includes not only VGC, but multiple formats and metagames. There's a huge community on Smogon Forums, one of the largest that exists for Pokemon in general online, and it's very useful for different types of community content as well as VGC content. When it comes to Smogon being a unique platform, the biggest thing that they offer players in the community is Pokemon Showdown, a free-to-use platform where players can use their team builder and battling system in order to battle random players on the internet at all times, in moderated chats, of course. Their diverse strategy decks is nothing to laugh at either. With a huge community following, any question that you may have can probably be answered by a community member. Their diverse strategy decks, their huge community following, and Pokemon Showdown are 3 big features of Bogan Forums that make them a legend and king in the community. Most people do VGC content better than Smogon. Smogon has relevant information, but it isn't the #1 source for VGC information. It's a helpful source to look at different perspectives on specific Pokemon and how they're run in their strategy Pokedex, but overall it is not the #1 platform to go to for the Video Game Championship Series. For any other Pokemon format, Smogon does that better than anyone else. The Game House, established in 2015, providing English, well-written articles that have both been edited and reviewed. Their site layout is clean and easy to use. It's fairly simple. Their main Pokemon writer is Eric Bartlett, a player in the community, a streamer, and a commentator. He usually covers big VGC happenings as well as post-regional coverage. Most casual players and fans on the site will go and read his articles, and a full sports and esports platform with excellent connections for internships is one of the biggest and most unique things about the Game House itself. Eric does a great job in creating his own content. I'd love to see the Game House provide some next level competitive content for Sword and Shield in the upcoming season. There's incredible potential for a platform that has a lot of awareness for different esports all around the world, and this is a way to thrust the VGC scene into a different light on a platform that has the chance to be able to make a difference in the community. Facebook. There's not much to say about Facebook, because the group on Facebook, VGC Pokemon, is on Facebook. It's accessible to Facebook users. Facebook is something that you can look forward to in the sense that it's a long, drawn-out feed with occasional staff to help. Mentor Mondays, I'm not really sure what other content that this group provides besides a few staff members helping people with general questions, because most people in the group tend to be beginners. Casual and beginner audiences are definitely preferred in this group because those are the type of people in here. The most unique thing about this group has to be their partnership with Trainer Tower. Today, Trainer Tower and Facebook are one and the same. They're both dead. Deagle Beagles monthly VGC blog. This site in general is confusing to navigate. You have to even know that it exists. It is literally a blog post that is updated whenever Deagle wants and whenever he posts about it on Twitter, and besides that it's sometimes I don't get what the list means. When were they updated? It's really not known. The one thing about the content is that it is his opinion on the best Pokemon in the format. So it is an opinion-based piece, which is quite interesting for content in the community, and it's why I'm bringing it up. For number 4, anyone that Deagle connects with are really the people that are a part of this audience. It's not the first thing that you can type into Google and say, oh, I'm looking for competitive VGC content. This blog is not the first thing to pop up. Now, if Deagle is posting on his Twitter and you happen to see, then sure, you'll hop on, or if he manages to see you at an event in real life and decides to tell you that he's made an update, sure, there you go. The big thing about Deagle Beagles' monthly VGC blog, he's taking a risk to make some content. It's something that I can respect, and it's a reason why he made this list. It takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there and to take a risk in stating that these are what I think are the top tier Pokemon, these are mid tier, low tier, and competitive Pokemon, depending on whether they are Mega Pokemon, a legendary Pokemon, and more, which is all dependent upon the format. When it comes to does this platform overlap with other things, there's really nothing else like Deagle Beagles. Deagle Beagles monthly VGC blog. There's nothing else like it. Get used to it. And last, but certainly not least, Nugget Bridge. Does it still exist? Yes. The content on that site comes from 2012 through 2016. It's slightly sporadic depending on the authors at the time, but it's a fun read for all people who go to Nugget Bridge because many of the writers at the time are now veterans/popular players in the community. The site can cater to beginners and competitive players all alike. The most interesting thing are the timeless tips and details that the beginner articles provide any Pokemon player looking to get into the VGC scene. It's the one thing that Trainer Tower could never do, actually provide content for beginners who wanted to start playing. Otherwise, Nugget Bridge is a dead site. It's an archived platform and site that has some of the VGC articles and standings, but if you try to access some of their features, such as clicking onto certain Pokemon and looking at the teams that they used to have on there, you're just brought to a dead URL. Most sources base themselves off of this past website. Nugget Bridge was extremely influential in the creation of many other VGC websites. So it's important to note, while this site still exists, many people credit Nugget Bridge with a lot of the early work that was being done in the competitive VGC scene. And folks, that just about wraps up my review of the best VGC resources for the upcoming season VGC 2020 for Sword and Shield. If you have questions, comments, concerns, or any other curiosities about any other sites, feel free to reach out in the comments below or in a personal DM via Twitter or email. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. How we doing? And have a great day.